Hi everyone, and welcome to the SwiftCase Productivity Podcast. I'm Adam Sykes, founder of SwiftCase, the professional productivity platform, and today I've got with me
Phil Whitby, developer here at SwiftCase.
August Petrus, senior engineer at SwiftCase.
I'm Craig McCarthy, development manager at SwiftCase.
Okay, great. So today we're going to talk about side projects and whether they are a distraction or they're a useful thing to engage your time that actually enrich your work. So I suppose main person with side projects is probably Alkis.
Yeah.
You see, I'm very much for that they complement work quite a lot. I mean,
Absolutely.
it can easily get out of hand, don't get me wrong, but from my experience, any side projects I've done have helped me in work, and then in turn, work has helped me with my side projects. But I think it's very important to have a distinction between the two. Otherwise, it can get really confusing at times. For example, under high stress situations at work, I struggle with my side projects, just because it's like different momentum in a way. But I'm all for side projects, you know.
So, what about you as a business owner? What do you think about side projects?
So I'm quite relaxed about side projects. I think, at the end of the day, we as a business have certain targets we want to meet and certain goals we aspire to, and as long as they're being met and they're being achieved, then anything that helps people to improve their skills or takes people off into a new area of learning, especially I think it's quite good. And I do some stuff myself that's not for the business. And it's not even business, it's more just having, I suppose, a play around with things, especially if it's a different technology. We generally work in specific languages or specific areas of software or business. To go into a completely different area and build something, that's useful that in a different arena can open your eyes to new ways that you can incorporate in your own system.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because different sectors or totally different. Maybe it's not-for-profit sector versus business. Sometimes those have both got ideas and concepts that naturally occur in the other, and bringing them together can give you a new way of looking at things that you wouldn't have if you were just sort of focused on one project continuously.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it depends on the type of person though as well. I think it can be incredibly enriching, but I know personally I think I would find them quite distracting because I find it, I don't know, I struggle to focus if I've got more than one thing on, and ultimately if I've got a side project that I'm really quite like, oh yeah, there's this one. I might find myself thinking about that a little bit more. I'm completely for them, but I think it all depends on what sort of person you are and how you kind of approach projects and manage them, I suppose, more than anything.
Yeah, I don't really have that much time on the evenings or weekends to pursue anything with gusto. That's the thing. And I enjoy what we do here anyway. So it's, like often I'll be like dragging myself away because I'm just in the middle of something. So it's not like I'm looking for something else because I'm already learning a lot. Yeah. In the current situation anyway. I think you got a lot more experience, so I think like your branching out is probably a bit more keen. Yeah. I'm sure that'll happen for me. But my other things like photography and stuff is great to do every now and then.
But I suppose with that's a fantastic example of side project.
Yeah,
it's ultimately benefited the company as well because it's like Phil's a bit of behind the curtain stuff. Phil's the guy who generally
has the lighting.
This is how we've got such a fantastic picture on show of all of us.
Even though we insist on not looking at the cameras and pretending that we're on a radio show rather than on a YouTube channel.
It's very difficult.
One day we might actually start speaking to the cameras and stop being so shy. But I think
we'll get there.
I think some of us are more keen than others to put our face to look towards the lens.
That's a great. I think one big advantage of some of the it's something that we encourage as well, because we launched this thing where we can spend so many days throughout the year like working on something that isn't necessarily SwiftCase really, but ultimately it might benefit the company, and I think that's really good. And I think there's quite a lot of businesses that do that now, like Fun Feature Friday, sort of stuff, and I think that's definitely a huge advantage because ultimately it's one of those where you're not kind of doing it in your free time almost. You've been afforded the time at work to look into something that you might not necessarily always be looking at. And I think training opportunities and things like that, that's always a great advantage.
I have to say, like you're saying, these kind of days, I feel like they're really good. I mean, speaking personally, I feel extremely burnt out. I mean, because it's like, if you're working on these side projects weekend after weekend, it starts to hit you after a while.
Because you've taken on a project, haven't you, where it's like you've got deadlines.
Yeah.
It's not just like one of those things, but it's like, oh,
I'll just
there's a passion. I'll just have a little mess around.
Candle,
It's not like me trying to install a games room at home, which is I'm still waiting to bought a desk the other day, which is pointless. So that's a bit different, because that's almost like a second job. It's almost like a part-time job then, isn't it? That like you kind of working shifts on the weekends. You know what I mean? Like doing bar work or something.
So I guess
that's a little bit, but it's right though.
Yeah.
I think it's when side projects start,
I think when they start developing into a second job, that's when it can be damaging.
Well, that was my problem with photography. I didn't want, as soon as I was doing more weddings or more things than I felt physically able to do, and it was stressful. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
That's exactly what I used to do. I did freelance years ago, design stuff just on the side. And for some reason, I ended up doing a lot of stuff for wedding. I think it might be because I did like a wedding website, or stationery website ages ago. But I absolutely despised it in the end, because it got to the point where it was like, I really can't be honest. I want some free time, and I think that's the key thing when it becomes a job.
I'm better at it when it's not like my full-time job. I'm happier to be there. And people are like, it's very nice. So like my service is better when it's not like you absolutely have to be there every weekend, looking cameras around and things like that. So it's kind of finding that balance, I think, is important for your mental health as well.
For sure. And I suppose it depends as well on whether a side project is your personal side project that is to the end goal is for you to actually monetize it or spin something out, like make a business out of that, which may result in you leaving your job, because then you have got a conflict on which is your priority, isn't it? Exactly. Then and which do you actually focus your time on, as opposed to if it's a side project, like the way that Google would do is, they have side projects, don't they? But actually, if it takes off, the company then invest in you inside the company to move that forward as part of your job inside the Google itself. So that's more of a go and think of things and use your your other skills and sort of designing skills and innovating, coming up with innovative ideas. But ultimately, it helps the company itself. It's not a conflict as such, because if it works out, the company
wins as well. Yeah.
But I think it can be, you can end up overcommitting your time if you start working evenings, weekends. Absolutely. And it ends up being a second job. Then you do need some downtime, don't you? There's a reason we don't work 7 days a week. And that you do need to switch off, and especially if it's too similar. If photography versus doing something else, it is like completely different.
You can almost pass it off as a hobby.
That's very true. I like the idea of it being something completely different. Skateboarding.
So if you've got a side project and you want to let us know about it, then please drop it in the comments below and we'll join you in the chat there.
And if you're interested in starting a new side project, we've got some great software on offer at swiftcase.co.uk. We've got some exciting things coming up actually over the next couple of months, so you'll want to have a little look and keep an eye on our website, but don't forget to leave us a message at SwiftCase UK on social media as well.
And don't forget to subscribe by hitting the bell below to get more content like this.
Great, and thanks everyone for listening. It's been the SwiftCase Productivity Podcast, and we'll see you again next time.